with liberty and justice for all.
We shall have roll call, please, Carolina.
Councilmember Corrales?
Yes.
Saltby?
Yes.
Mailer?
Yes.
Paulson?
Yes.
Mayor Walsh?
Yes. Okay. I am going to stand and speak loudly so all of you can hear in the back, okay? Can everybody hear me back there? Good? Sooner or later, we're going to have a intercom system here, and it's in the works. Let's just put it that way. I am going to start tonight's meeting in the spirit, well, back by popular demand, I guess, is the Mayor Woller's quote for the day. This one is in the spirit of March Madness. Just a little background. This quote is coming from John Wooden. John Wooden was an American basketball coach. He was nicknamed the Wizard of Westwood. He coached UCLA from 1949 to 1975. He led the Bruins to 10 NCAA championships in 12 years, including a record of 7 in a row. Today's message speaks to us on leadership. True leaders accept responsibility for the outcomes of their decisions and actions. Okay, we shall move on now to approval of tonight's agenda. And I would ask the council for a motion, if there's any additions or corrections, now would be the time for that. If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move approval of the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve tonight's agenda. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, once again, greetings to all. In just a few minutes, I will open up the citizens' comments portion of tonight's meeting. As your mayor, I felt compelled to make the following statement. My wife Sherry and I have lived in Morris our entire lives. Never have we witnessed the kind of division, anger, and malicious behavior as what has been going on over the last 3 months in our community. Some of this is directed at members of the city council, some towards your mayor, and some towards our city manager. There seems to be enough to go around. I would ask everyone in this room and those listening to the recorded version to pause and examine what's going on in your hearts. We can do better, Morris. We have to do better. That being said, I would like us to agree on a few rules for tonight's citizens' comments portion of the meeting. With the advent of social media and email, we, the members of the council, have already heard from many of you present tonight. Sophia Maruska from the Pomme de Terre River Association will give us an update on the Chrissy Dam project, followed by Emma Wente and Annette Watson. Then I will grant a period for other comments. I realize many of you are here regarding the matter involving the library. Given the large number who have showed up, I've decided to limit the conversation to 3 spokespersons. I will let you decide who those 3 are. At that time, I originally was planning to see a bunch of signs, and I don't see any. So I was just going to ask that if any of you brought signs, that you would remove those signs during the business portion of our meeting, because I will not allow anything to really distract and interfere with the council's ability to conduct city business. Can we all agree on those simple little rules? Will that work for everybody?
No, Mr. Mayor, I'm not a part of any organization, I'm just a citizen and I want to make a comment and I'm not going to negotiate with these other people. I'm sorry.
Okay, so what's the council feel? I mean, are we prepared to listen to the comments in its entirety? Generally, the mayor as the presiding officer has the right to facilitate the meeting as he sees fit. Okay? And in an effort to preside and to keep order, I mean, I'm willing to sit here and listen to everybody if you think that's what you want. But most of us have already heard, in general, from a lot of you. So, I mean, we work for you. I mean, I'm not going to sit up here and mandate and ram this down your throat. I'm just hoping we can have a conversation and work out something here. What's acceptable to you?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
you might try letting everybody speak that wants to speak, but limit it to 3 minutes, and then ask them not to repeat. Listen carefully and not to repeat what somebody else in front of them said. We've used that policy before in the county,
Okay.
and
We're okay with that?
just don't beat on the same top,
Yep.
same issues, but try and bring up different things. that
And
you can
I'm
say.
okay with that.
All right?
Do we have anybody that's willing to keep time? I guess, because I guess my thought on generally putting a time limit on things is we as the council and everybody here, we're trying to dial in and listen, right? And I just don't know that I want to sit and watch my time, my clock, and if there's anybody else that could help me with that, I would be entertained.
Kevin,
Yeah.
is the microphone that people will be speaking into?
It's right there.
Amplified, so we can hear what they're saying, so we don't?
It is.
No, like I said at the beginning of the meeting, Drew, we don't have a speaker system yet. We're working on getting something to that effect, but we do
So
not
we're
have it.
talking to the mic.
You have to for the video recording.
For
Yeah.
video?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what we're here for. We're gonna have a conversation, so I'm okay with that. What I'll do is, I'll just put it on you to just be respectful of each other's time and try to stay as much as possible close to that time period.
And to
Yeah.
that point,
Yeah,
if you think it's getting redundant, then it's up to you to say, we've heard that before, we
and I respect people's opinions, so yeah, I get it.
Do that, so.
Yep. Yeah, and it's, I think them are great rules, and that's what we're here for. So I'm okay with that, council? You good?
Yeah, I'm fine with that, if that's agreed.
Okay.
Great.
Mayor, I can time if you want.
Pardon?
I
You
can
can
time.
time? Okay, that would be great. Okay, so that being said, so we're all good, everybody's happy and agrees to the rules, that's great. We will start out with hearing from Sophia Maruska, I hope I pronounced that correctly. She's with the Palm de Terre River Association, and she's gonna give us an update on the Chrissy Dam project.
Wow, that was a long walk. Hi, so I'm Sophia. I'm the watershed coordinator for the Palm de Terre River Association. So, as you know, the public comment meeting for the Chrissy Dam period ended last week. We had 39 total comments, and we were able to, I think, address most of them in a modified design. And it's very, very rough. The steering committee met yesterday to go over comments, so that is like the draftiest draft. I can't answer any questions about water depth or elevations yet because it was yesterday. But the changes we made were adding the additional pool downstream to address the comments of people wanting fishing below the bridge. And it'll also be closer to the parking lot there. So people in wheelchairs or who want to stay closer to that parking lot have a fishing platform option. We also added widening the main reservoir. Again, I don't know how deep it'll be yet because it was yesterday, but so then that'll give some more fishing options. The northwestern point the solution we came up with would be to dredge kind of a channel between the reservoir and the storm drain there. So then those people can still have some water access and it shouldn't fill up with sediment as fast as just leaving it, because it'll be dug deeper. And then with that dredged material, that'll be used for the green space, and they think we'll be able to maintain close to the current elevation, so that it'll be easier on Morris Parks to do mowing and maintenance. And then the green space created will be planted with pollinator and bird-friendly native species, so that you won't have the problem of just leaving it to a swamp. And yeah, we are able to keep most of the fishing platforms from option 2 for people who wanted more fishing opportunities. I think we only had to get rid of 1 in this option, but there's still at least 4 different fishing platforms, and at least one of them will be ADA accessible. So when this project design is more complete, we'll do another public meeting. It'll be announced the same as the last one in the Stevens County Times for 2 weeks, the Morris Chamber of Commerce email list, the Community Connections radio show, and then a post on Pomme de Terre, Stevens Soil Water, City of Morris, and Stevens County Facebook pages. And then probably mid to end April, just because they'll need to do estimates of banked full widths. I don't know what that is, but apparently it's complicated. So that'll take a while, but yeah, any questions? I think we were able to address most of the concerns people had.
So this will come back, will the engineers and the planners come back and present this option to us again?
Yes, we were originally going to come back and present April 8th. That was decided in like February. But now I think with having to do the bank full widths for that like dredge channel, I don't think April 8th is as realistic. But yeah, it'll be probably mid-April.
So the timeline then is to come back to the council, present, and then do the.
Yes, same as last time.
So, and then the.
Council, Stevens County, Board of Commissions, then public meeting.
Okay.
Same as last time. And then and then I also applied for the West Central Initiative Grant. I was just thinking with all that new green space, it'd be cool to maybe get like an art installation from a local artist or some trail markers. Just, I don't know, jazz it up a little, why not? It's gonna be closed and construction anyway, why not make it cool? Any questions? Word. And then Becca has a copy of the draft too, if you wanna look at. Yeah.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sophia. All right, next up, we have Emma Wente.
Shall I speak for Emma?
Okay.
Or in Emma's spot that she reserved. My name is Brad Dolan from South Columbia Avenue. I have a statement for everybody. Dear community members and supporters, as we reflect on the journey of our park project, we want to reiterate the core mission that has guided us through this endeavor of creating space that enhances our community through good stewardship, inclusivity, and community development. The vision for the park was to serve as a place where children of all abilities could play, a place where families could gather, and a place that would attract new families to move back to our community while retaining those who already call it home. We also hoped the project would support the growth of businesses on Main Street and encourage the overall development of our community. It is with great sadness we share with the guidance of our executive team and park investors, the park project is no longer moving forward. Though we had strong support, we know this has been difficult for some, and we do not want to cause further division in our community. Therefore, we are withdrawing our plans for the East Side Park enhancement. The lessons and insights gained by the Next Gen team throughout the process are invaluable. We have learned so much from managing this initiative, and we are deeply grateful for the support, vision, and encouragement provided by all those who believed in this project. Your involvement and commitment were vital to our efforts, and we cannot thank you enough. Even though this specific project has come to an end, we believe in our community's ability to support future growth remains crucial for its continued prosperity. It is more important than ever that we invest in our community's future, ensuring that we keep our current families, along with creating an environment with future opportunities for new families. We remain dedicated to working towards a future where our community continues to thrive, and we are excited to see how we can come together to address these challenges in the coming months and years. Together, we can create a community that fosters growth, inclusivity, and long-term success. Thank you once again for your support. Next Gen.
Thank you. Okay. Next up would be Annette Watson.
Thank you. Next Gen, I was about to talk about our turning in signatures today to the city council. Well, not city council, but to the city clerk. So, 45 days ago, 5 members of the community, myself included, submitted a proposed ordinance to the city of Morris, exercising our rightful powers reserved by the people as stated in our town city charter. Under those guidelines, we were instructed to find 257 signatures, which is this number right here. It would be 10% of the total vote cast in the last municipal election 2024. So this morning, 45 days from that turn-in date, we submitted our signatures in the proper format to the city clerk. From the 17 people who were collecting signatures, we turned in 57 packets, that is 57 official signature sheet packets to the city clerk. We also asked for and submitted a written receipt to the city clerk, which would show that the city had indeed received the signatures, which leads me kind of down a side path. And that is last month when we submitted our proposed ordinance, which we have right here. The submitted paperwork was stamped and it says received right here by the city clerk, this official city stamp. However, as of this morning when Debbie Stark and Sharzenda asked for the official stamp for a receipt, we were told, or they were told, that she had no such stamp as was used on the ordinance, that it doesn't exist in the city. So on the side path, I encourage the city council and the city itself to get the city clerk an official stamp that says received, as it has been lost at least from this morning onward, because it's unconscionable that a city can go forward or do its work for any period of time without an official stamp existing from the clerk's office. So please spare no time in purchasing that official Morris City's clerk stamp. So back to the matter at hand. What we were told to get, according to the city charter, was 257 signatures. So we went and we collected 614 signatures. So this number, 614, would represent the number of people willing to write their name and put their name on record that something is wrong in the way the city handled the gift-giving matter and the assignment of that gift at Eastside Park. This number of 614, if totally verified, would represent just right under 24% of the total votes cast in the last election. Or if we looked at it, what I think is more interesting is how many people live in Morris. According to our last census, we have 5,105 men, women, and children, which means we didn't collect 10% of the voters. We collected over 10% of every man, woman, and child in this town, where they voted, but that is what the numbers are showing us. So something is saying that the city council made the wrong decision in this matter. So 614 is that very top number. And so I want to say, after looking at those signatures with the voter ID logs in hand, I find that there are 524 signatures that I think are they're unquestionable, they're verified, they're in the pocket, everything is up to date. So when the city does look through the signatures, they will find more than 524 are correct, because we have encouraged the residents to become voters or to update their voter logs so that their address and their name reflect correctly in the voter ID registration. So let these numbers speak for themselves. Now that we've turned in our signatures, you and I would kind of await that verification from the city clerk on what the actual total was going on. So my purpose of coming here today is to inform the city council of the three things you can do now that this has been turned in. So the responses you can have are yes, no, and let's talk. So this is not like a knee-jerk response. You have 65 days in which to determine your choice. That is, you have 65 days from the day that the city clerk presents the findings in a normal city council meeting. So from that day, it's 65 days in the future. So you are not forced, again, to make that knee-jerk decision. You have the ability to think over the three choices amongst yourselves. So yes, no, let's talk. Yes means that you look at the numbers, you look at the ordinance, and you say, yes, the people have spoken, we're gonna put in this proposed ordinance, preserve Eastside Park, and we're gonna put it in the books. No means that you say, I see the names, but we still want to, and I guess at this time, not pursue whatever changes you're gonna do at Eastside Park, but just like are against the ordinance, but we're still gonna say no to it. Then in that case, you would have the max time, 65 plus 30 days, or we'll just say 3 months, in which a special election would be cast, and they would be voting yes or no to the actual ordinance that we have proposed. That's what the people would be voting on. So the let's talk is your third choice. In fact, you can engage in the let's talk whenever you desire. You don't have to, you can do let's talk before you choose yes or no. But what it means is that the 5 city council members talk with the 5 people whose names are listed on that proposed ordinance. And so we would just be discussing what the proposed ordinance itself says. So, however, if we're talking and you decide we can't talk through it, we cannot make any changes to that proposed ordinance. So if you choose to send this proposal to a special election, it can't be because we changed a number in there somewhere or we changed some part of the document. So only a one-on-one can change the content. And so at the end of the day, if there's 5 of you and 5 of us, if 4 of us agree to a change, then we would submit that to the city clerk. And then you guys would verify it on that day. Yes, we're gonna do this and it's not gonna go to a special election because we talked it over amongst ourselves. So that would be with what the let's talk would end in if you wanted to end on the let's talk. So now that I have spoken as a representative of the 5 who submitted this ordinance, I want to change gears and speak to you as a citizen of Morris. So I do want you to be successful. And when you're successful, the town is successful. And so I want to give you advice as a citizen, just like many others did during the Eastside Park special hearing. And everyone is truly thankful for the gift and the giver of wanting to help our parks. And our objection was only that it is a massive dystopian change in a very small 2-acre park. So as a citizen, I recommend that when you decide, or when our voice is made clear, that you return this decision of the gift park to the city's planning commission, where the process should have started many months ago. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Annette. Okay, next we have the aforementioned period where we're going to allow citizens' comments to continue. Just want to put out a reminder to everybody that comes up to the microphone that the city council cannot discuss any pending personnel matters if it's with regards to the library, okay? So come on up, introduce yourself, and away we'll go.
All right, sorry, I'm very nervous, so we'll see how this goes. My name is Naomi Skulon. I live at 500 East 3rd Street. I'm here tonight as a local citizen, an avid library user, a librarian, and the president of the Friends of the Morris Public Library nonprofit group. I want to speak in support of our local public library and its staff, who have made such a huge difference in my life and in our community. Our library offers one of the very few free third spaces in our community, which is places that are not home or work, and offers important space for community gathering, career development, learning and play, and community outreach. When I moved here 9 years ago, it was daunting trying to figure out how to integrate into this tight-knit community. It was through the library book club that I met many of my closest friends, through Women of Today meeting in the public library meeting room that I made community connections, and through the Friends of the Library group that I learned about the difference individuals can make in this community. The library is a shining gem of our community and has made a difference, especially for my children. My son Charles is 6, and he gets obsessed with topics that he wants to know everything about. This month we've checked out around 20 books about the Titanic, and 2 months ago it was the history of video games. He discovers new interests at the library every month, and he loves talking to Anne and the other librarians about all the things he is learning. And Anne is very patient and supportive of his diverse interests, even when it means hearing for a third time about the minute details of the history of Nintendo console production, which I know a lot about now. As parents, we would not be able to nurture his love of learning and love of reading without the library. So hopefully we can all agree that the library is an amazing service provided for young and old in our city, and the library needs our support. I've been very disheartened by current events. This year, the library had around a 10% cut to its circulating materials budget, even as costs of books increase. Along with the cut to materials funding, suggesting possibly just decreasing staffing, library hours, or the cleaning budget, when it's already minimal, would negatively impact the library services and space, which are heavily used by community members from all walks of life, including many, many children. As someone who has unfortunately watched my 3-year-old lick the library's glass door, I know germs abound where children play, and the cleaning, staffing, and hours of the library are paramount to its function. The library director was put on leave very suddenly and with no notice. I'm very concerned with the process that led to her being put on leave and the support provided to the library for the last 4 weeks in her absence. Little guidance or support has been provided for the remaining library staff, and it's really crunch time for planning for the summer reading program, which is really huge in our community. There are many, many people who use and love our library. It offers services to all and helps make Morris thrive. Even though the library does not make a monetary profit, the services it offers our community are priceless. I urge you to keep that in mind as you make major decisions about the funding and staffing of our library now and in the future. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm Charlie Glasstrud, live on Idaho Avenue, and I do not engage in malicious behavior, and there's no place for it by anybody. I was going to talk about libraries, and I won't repeat what Naomi said, but I would like to take a moment to thank the Next Gen group for listening. I would like to thank the Next Gen group for all the work you did. And what I, right? Yes. And what I did not hear, and I'm sorry that I didn't hear it, was what's our next project going to be? Because I think you get a lot of backing. I think that the playground equipment somewhere in this town, either dispersed or in another place, is an excellent idea. I think you get a lot of support. Also, we could use an outdoor pool. I've lived here 40 years, and we could use an outdoor pool. But I'm here to talk about libraries in general. My friend Bob Gallagher spoke at the last meeting about the merits of our public library and the many ways that it serves our community. I wanted to talk a little bit about public libraries in general. The public library is an American invention. It goes back some 300 years, and the first municipal lending library in the world opened in New Hampshire in 1833. In the middle of the 19th century, a young immigrant messenger boy had access to a public lending library in Pittsburgh. He would take out a book every week. And this is how Andrew Carnegie improved himself until he became one of America's richest people ever. He gave back. He gave a fortune to build over 2,500 public libraries. One of them is on the west side of Morris. Why don't we still use that library that was built in 1906? Because it wasn't big enough, so we built one in the 60s that was bigger. Municipal libraries are as American as apple pie. In the years since Carnegie gave back to his country, millions of Americans across the country have used libraries to learn about, discover literature, learn about science, history, opinion, facts, so as to improve their own lives. 1 minute, thank you. With time, the services libraries provide have expanded. Good public libraries such as ours, which so far as I can tell is very well run, is no less indispensable a public service as it ever was. Now I want to digress a moment. I don't know what the allegations are. People here don't know what the allegations are of a personnel nature, and that's probably not appropriate for us to talk about, and I know you can't talk about it. So I get that part. But to my view, it's well run. I've heard the question, why doesn't a library make money? Why doesn't our library make money? And this is a new one on me. Never occurred. And the reason is because a library, like a fire department or a playground, or just about everything else the city does except for a liquor store, is not for profit. It's a public service. It's not for money making. Let's remember that and keep our public library vital. Thank you for your time, and thank you, Tegan.
Sorry, in an effort to make sure everyone knows what their time is, I
That's
made
great.
signs for 1, 30 seconds, and 10 seconds.
Yeah, we'll just let you kind of police yourselves there and come up, just take turns. And state your name and address, please, for the record.
Hi, I'm Christina Ortiz. I'm at 313 West 6th Street. I do research on thriving small towns in the upper Midwest of the United States. And interestingly to me, both of these issues speak to that tonight. So I wasn't planning on saying anything, but I think it's an interesting moment to be able to say to you that thriving rural communities often invest in spaces that are open to the community with low barriers to participation, right? So that you don't have to belong to a particular organization like a church to go there, and you don't have to pay any money to justify your presence there. They are intergenerational spaces, meaning they're not just for children or just for older people, they're for a variety of people in the community. They're accessible and, again, don't cost any money, and they're open or available year-round. In Morris and many other rural communities like Morris, we don't really have that many of those spaces, and I think a thing that would make our community very attractive is to have and invest in more of those spaces. So, thank you.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Diane Baum, 511 West 11th Street here in Morris, and I also own UPetcha. Well, in light of the news tonight, which dropped like a bomb, no reference to me, of course, bomb. Anyway, all right. Hey, you gotta laugh sometimes. Okay, first of all, I want to say thank you to NextGen for your efforts. I also want to thank the East Side Park people for their efforts. And back on January 14th, it was never the intent to create division when our idea, just for a little bit of time to discuss this, was turned down. Coretta Scott King said, and I know you like quotes, the greatness of a community is dependent upon the compassion of its members. And lately there's been, like you alerted to, a lot of division, and I've even seen it on social media going after certain people in the community, certain groups in the community. And to bring together an all-inclusive playground, what happened in the last 45 days is we created a huge rift. And this rift, I don't know if it can be healed because it is creating scars. Now, I really hope that NextGen would come back to the table, please, and talk to all of us. Be transparent. Let us know what your plans are. I'm all for an all-inclusive playground, but unfortunately, because it was planned to be put in a place that holds a lot of sentimental value to the people who live here in Morris, I think that rather than just saying, fine, I'm taking my marbles and going home, take those marbles, throw them out there, and see who picks them up and says, you know what, we can do this, we can do that. Let's come together. Let's do it with compassion instead of hatred. Because I guarantee you, if this doesn't heal, you're going to have the we said, they said group. And it's never going to ever come back to what was. I'm only a resident here of 11 years. My husband grew up here. And it just makes me so sad that when I left the city to come to what I thought was a peaceful life, instead the animosity is becoming no different than what we're seeing in the news in Minneapolis. We can't have that. This is Morris. We come together. We do things with and for one another. We see Kyle Brundage, what happened, how the community came together, Carter Tunn, Patsy and Scott Sheehan, and how that community came together. So let's please come together in forgiveness, in compassion, and in love. And let's bring the community back together to the table and say, you know what, we can still do this. And I really hope NextGen that you do, because I applaud your efforts. And that's all I just want to see. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next, microphone's open for anybody that wants to approach the council.
Hi, my name is Rhoda Smith, and I'm from Donnelly, Minnesota. I am here to speak about the library because I am a patron. I'm also on the board at the PRCA, and so we are partners in lots of community activities. I'm not here to talk about how great the library is or the programs. I think they speak for themselves, and I think you've heard about that from lots of folks. I really wanted to recognize the challenge that's before the council. Some of you know me pretty well, and you know that I know how hard it is to be a public servant. And this is, as I understand it, a personnel issue. Those are never easy. And what I want to do is just really to recognize the responsibility that comes with the seats that you all hold, because your responsibility is to your employees. So it's to your city manager, it's to your head librarian, it's to all of your city employees, and then it's to all of the folks that elected you in the community. And so it's like, it's this ripple effect. And so when you are dealing with personnel issues, which are not any of ours to be a part of, I just really want to encourage you to sort of take that larger view and say, you know, whatever decisions we make obviously have a huge impact on one or more individuals, but they have an impact on the community. They have an impact on the rest of your employees who are watching how this unfolds. And so I really want to, I guess, just advocate for restraint and thoughtfulness, and really taking that larger view to say whatever we do, the impact is going to be felt far beyond, you know, the individual that's part of this particular activity. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have an open mic. Anybody else care to approach the council? Now would be a good time.
Sorry, I was back there leaning. I'm deaf in my right ear. The acoustics in this building suck. I'm Drew Israel Swenson. I live at 100 East 5th Street. I'm here to talk about the library, but while we're talking about money and making profits and things like that, I think on behalf of everybody here, if the city wants to make a lot of money, please put a traffic camera right here on this corner so that you can catch, I live in that house on the corner, I see 5 people a day going the wrong way down the street, and most of them catch it. They whip a Yui, that's cool, but there are people, literally when I was here Friday for the meeting, we watched 2 people drive all the way to Willie's. So, real easy way to make money, I would think. Just a little helpful hint. I am wanting to talk about the library and a little bit about perspective, because I think, you know, small towns, people are talking about hatred and violence. First off, it's wonderful to see people passionate about anything in this town, because we know that doesn't happen. It's so hard to get people involved. And so, like, everybody here, rock on, everybody here, rock on. I will say I've lived in that house for 20 years, and I've seen in the last 10 years, and particularly under Ann's tutelage, that library has become the beating heart of this town. It has grown from something where I would see a few cars out there a day to oftentimes people parking at my house. It's been a wonderful thing to see. I think we really need to keep into mind perspective. Small towns, people hear things, they heard this from somebody else, they heard that. You guys know the answer, but I would caution you to keep perspective in mind, because I could tell you a story about an unwed mother who gave birth, didn't know the father. Today we call her the Virgin Mary. So take a step back and look at the big picture, because this isn't just about money. Small towns are not just about money. We all know goodwill is worth more than any dollar. And I'd like you to keep that in mind when you go forward. What kind of will are you bringing forward with these decisions? Thank you.
Thank you. All right, mic's open.
Yeah, I didn't plan on speaking, but I just noticed something really important.
State
Name's
your name
William
and
Plowski.
address, please.
What?
Name and address, please, Bill.
William Plowski, I'm from Hancock. Okay, from Hancock. But I use the Viking Line library system all the time. I was going to say I guess I could say two things. One is there are resources there that people aren't even aware of. I've been digging into it. You can get online, log in, use your account on there. From home, I can order DVDs from all over the place. Otter Tail, Furries Falls, Pelican Rapids, etc. These are professional people that are providing incredible service to our community that people aren't even aware of. Check the Viking Land Library's Facebook page. They're putting out all kinds of resources for the Women's History Month. Some incredibly inspiring stories about women of Otter Tail County. I'm assuming that an amazing librarian in Otter Tail County put that together, but there's just so much there that is really worthwhile. You've barely scratched the surface. Glenwood Library is in that system too, I think, and has pie pans of various themes. You know, you just don't even know what it's not just books and a few public computers. Meanwhile, we have a very big problem in our country. We cannot privatize everything. And that is what you're talking about when you start talking about making libraries profit. You don't run libraries like a business. You don't run USPS like a business. You don't run schools like a business for profit, for obvious reasons. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Kane. I live at 404 West 5th Street. I grew up at 510 East 5th Street. I have been going to our little library since it was built. I did go to our Carnegie Library when I was very, very young, and then the Armory burned down and they built our library here. I just want to say I have used our library for 62 and a half years, and I love our library. And it has so many, as some other people have said, so many resources that so many of us can make use of. I have a stack of 3 printers at my home. None of them work. I go to the library now, and I print off my W-2s because the library is there. It has so many things to offer, and in the last quite a few years, there have been so many things offered by our library. One of them was the, I just had the name, Alan Page, the Diane and Alan Page display that was in the old council chambers. Yes, I'm old, I know where you used to meet. But that was so special to me that we had access to that. I don't know if any of you saw it, but it was very moving. He and his wife have collected many things on slavery, white-colored, you know, a lot of things, and it was just very moving. But we do have so many things that come to us available at our library, and I think it is just an amazing place, and we need to continue to have it for us. Accessible for us. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Bob Kapitsky, 203 East 5th Street. I'm also a county commissioner, so I do understand how difficult your job is. Believe it or not, we have issues like this that have to be handled in closed meetings, so I do appreciate your effort. I just want to say that all of you here help support the library, because the Stevens County Board gives us about $60-some thousand to the Viking Library System. We'd like to give more, but we give to the museum, we give to the Fair Board, we give to the Extension, we give to economic development. But we do realize how important this library is, and we do, and it's connected to the Viking Library System with the bookmobile. And when we are going to appropriate the money, the leader of the Viking Library and Ann and the Hancock librarians, they come in and do a PowerPoint or explain what all the programs they've been doing all summer and all winter. And it's just amazing how much they get done and what a wonderful job they do with limited resources at best. So I really, really want this resolved. hopefully in a good way to keep our staff the way it is. And I know you're having a tough job, so hang in there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Rachel Kohler Mulholland. I live at 100 South Street. And I just wanted to give a perspective of somebody who was a transplant turned townie. I moved here for the first time when I was a junior in high school, lived with my family after very significant loss. My dad had died, my mom was hospitalized for almost a year. It was a very traumatic time. And I came to Morris because, it was a really safe place to be. It was a great place to grow up. It made a huge impact on my life. And so when I moved to the Twin Cities, went to school, I had this life, I was making this life, and then I had a baby and I was like, shit. Excuse my language, but I was 20 years old and I was like, where am I gonna go? Where's a good place to raise a kid? And I was like, you know what? I'm moving back to Morris. I have connections here, I had made friends, I had developed, I had classmates that I'd grown up with that were still in the area. I knew people that I could make connections with and grow as a person. And I came here, went to cosmetology school, I opened a salon in Alexandria, eventually went back to the University of Minnesota Morris and got my bachelor's, went on to get my graduate degree, and now I teach at the U after moving back here almost 20 years ago. Right? I've made a huge leap, and the library played no small part in that, and the community played no small part in that. Right? I recognize that we have a very unique suite of needs in this area because of our incredibly diverse and passionate constituency in this area. But I want to make sure that I drive home that one of the things that brings people back is the fact that we have so many people that care and that we've invested in our community historically the way that we have. And so I really just want to make sure that it is clear to everybody on this council and everybody in this audience that it's not just about the people who are here now and the people that are growing up here, but it's the people who come here and are changed by being in Morris. It's so important that we keep true to our hearts of what matters here, and its people and its connection and its community. So thank you very much. I won't take it up any more of your time. I just wanted to give you a slightly different perspective.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I'm Nicole Wagner. I have family here for 150 years. We just had our farm here. I live in Benson, but I do have a library card for Morris. In no small part because this library made me who I am. My grandma used to bring me here every week. And the ability to leave my farm, where I was an only child for 9 years, and actually get to see worlds outside was hugely impactful and extremely necessary. And I think through the dialogue we've been having nationally, we need to remember that diverse viewpoints are important and that it's very, very important that people still have access to them. And I think that we've had a wonderful system in place the last few years here that have made that possible, and I would hate to see that done away with.
Thank you.
Hey everyone, my name is Sharon Martin. I live at 311 East 7th Street here in Morris, Minnesota. I would just like to point out I really did not expect to come up here, and I know a lot of people have said that. But what I want to make sure that we make clear, and just things that I've noticed, I don't go to the library often. My mistake. I have friends who go to silent reading. That was started by Anne. I have friends who I taught with. I'm currently at Willie's, but I taught up at the high school for 26 years. And people did wonderful things there before Anne was directing the library. But since Anne took over, I have had students come up to me and tell me if it wasn't for the library, they don't know what they would do. And it's specifically they loved Anne because she was kind and gentle and accepting of whoever was going up there and in there. And I don't know the situation that's going on in here. But it's great to have a library, but it's great to have caring people in that library who are concerned about the citizens of our community. And they need to be. And I can't even tell you, I've 7 or 8 kids that have told me they really don't know if they would still be here if they didn't have that support and that place to go in Morris Library. and specifically because of Anne and the people who worked with her. And I want to make sure that we don't lose sight of the fact that we are here to save a library, and we want funds spent on it. We want, we want that to be there, but we also want to support the person who has done wonderful things there. Okay? So thank you for your time.
By all means, anybody else wants to approach the council, we certainly will listen.
I just want to say, Mr. Mayor, thank you for adjusting and using the time period.
Oh, absolutely. That's,
Thank you.
you kind of do this thing. We're all learning here. We're all learning. And we, at the end of the day, work for you. So I'm glad it worked out. I'm glad everybody feels comfortable, and we shall move on. If there's no other people that would like to approach the council, our next item on the agenda, we have no public hearings tonight. We shall move on to our regular reading and approval of our regular meeting minutes from March 11th, 2025.
I'll move approval of the regular meeting minutes.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve our March 11th regular meeting minutes. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And then we shall move on to our condensed version of those same minutes from March 11th, 2025.
I'll move approval of the condensed versions or minutes.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve our condensed version of our meeting minutes from March 11th, 2025. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next before us is our consent agenda, which tonight consists of audit of city bills, our gambling reports, our Morris Public Library Board meeting minutes from February 12th, 2025, our City of Morris Tree Board minutes from February 19th, 2025, the City of Morris Park Board minutes from March 12th, 2025. Item F would be the application for exempt permit from SCMC Courage Cottage. And the last item is the Morris Transit Report. And I will move approval of those items on the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. I'll bring it back to the city council for any items of discussion there.
We had a full list this time. Line 56, that's just next progressional, Whitseth for East 7th Street project.
Yeah, that's still moving forward with the project, yep.
Very good.
So they finished up the final design and ready to go out for bids after last meeting.
Yep.
Yep.
Any other discussion from the members of the council on the items on the consent agenda? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. I'll just ask for a voice vote on that, please. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next before us are petitions, requests, and communications. The first item is our 2024 annual report to the Morris City Council from the Morris Tree Board. I don't know, did you want to speak to that?
Yeah, so we heard from them at the last meeting. We didn't approve their annual report, so they asked that we bring it back to have it approved.
Was that just an oversight? Or what? That we didn't approve it, or what was the deal?
No, it wasn't. They didn't.
didn't-
They
oh,
didn't
they didn't.
approve it. Final
okay.
final draft, but they did
Before-
want to present what was going on. So this is the written documentation
Okay,
of.
thank you for clarifying.
They've been
I
they've been
will-
busy. They've been real busy.
Yeah, I seen that. I'll move approval of the 2024 annual report to the Morris City Council from the Morris Tree Board.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the 2024 annual report to the Morris City Council from the Morris Tree Board. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item up is appointments to a couple of boards. We have, let's see, pull it up here. Airport Board would be Harrison York, and Tourism Board would be Landon Shaw. It sounds like he's got a class conflict, but he
Yes.
make that work. But go
Just
ahead
some
and speak to
discussion
that.
with that. We asked him after the last meeting if he'd want to be on our tourism board. We do meet from 8 to 9. It's been going a little later, but he said that he has class from 8 to 9:40 on those days. So he wants to do it. He wants to be a part of it. He just can't until after May. So brought it to you guys. You know, if that's acceptable. We don't have a full board now, so I feel like we could wait and have him be appointed and have him just wait till he comes on at the end of the semester. I think he'd be a really good fit for that board.
I haven't met him, but I've heard he's got a lot of good ideas and he's got a lot of energy, brings a lot of
Mhm.
energy to
He does.
the board, so.
Just a suggestion or a question on possibly doing something with potential board candidate applicants, that with the last meeting, we had 3 different people to get on the planning commission. Just a little bit of a background or history on the person or their interests or what they're doing. So if we do have some choices to make or to know who we're putting on our boards, I think would be valuable for the council to have a little bit of a background about a potential new board appointee.
Okay.
You know, and in the future too, I think would be a good idea or a good practice we could consider. If we run into that situation where we have multiple candidates, perhaps they could just come to the council, invite them to a meeting prior to us making a vote, and it'd be almost like an interview, so to speak, and we could just ask them a few questions and
Yep.
really just get to know who they are. So I don't think we've ever done that in the past, but I think it might be a practice we could consider. All right, we have 2 candidates.
I think it's great that we have a young person interested in being on our board. As you said, young people are the energy of our community, and they do create the history in the future. So I think we need more young people on our board. So this is great. I'm gonna go ahead and, do I need to nominate? But it's Landon Shaw for the Tourism Board and Harrison York for the Airport Board.
And with a sincere thank you to both of those individuals, I will second.
All right, thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve Harrison York to the Airport Board and Landon Shaw to the Tourism Board. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Last petition and request and communication is an approval of a donation to the fire department from Central Specialties in the amount of $100.
I will move approval of a donation to the fire department from Central Specialties and thank them for that.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I will ditto Councilmember Salvi's comment. Thank you for the donation. It always is much appreciated. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the donation of the fire department in the amount of $100 to Central Specialties. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have no ordinances and resolutions tonight. Next before us is our city manager's reports and recommendations, so I'll bring it over to our city manager.
You want to do the sidewalk reconstruction first?
Pardon?
Do you want to do the sidewalk
Sure.
reconstruction
Yeah,
first?
we can talk about the reconstruction project first, I
Okay.
guess.
Yeah. So, we talked last year about putting together, and in our budget, we put in $15,000 to put together a sidewalk program to, for those who need to reconstruct their sidewalks. So, before you is a policy, a reimbursement policy. For that, we're looking at giving out the max assistance to property owners of $3,500 per parcel for property. So how that would work is they would have the public works director come over, inspect the sidewalk. If it's something that needs to be replaced, we'll have the owner either get 2 quotes and bring them to us, and we would pay 75% up to $3,500 of the lowest quote. If they do it themselves, we'd pay 100% of the total cost of concrete, up to that $3,500. Once they submit, that's kind of how it'll work. We have $15,000 for this year, so it would be on a first come, first serve. We didn't go out and pick which sidewalks we think should be done. It'll kind of be on a first come, first serve. They'd come and fill out this form, have our public works go and take a look, and
Intention being that moving forward, this is repeatable enough that might be an update to value or whatever that looks like for different calendar years, but that's the intention, correct?
yeah, is to keep it in our budget.
Yep.
And to keep the program going so we can keep those sidewalks updated.
I think it's a great project to help people with that, because that is an added expense that's added to them that they don't generally take on. I would only encourage that we have a little clearer language on the approval process.
Okay.
I just want it, I just don't want it to, it just says if the property owner, the property owner must submit an application, the public works director will inspect sidewalk area and approve square footage prior to beginning the replacement. Now, I think it just needs to be in there that it has to be approved first, and it might not be approved. Just because you request reimbursement doesn't maybe mean that you're going to get it. So it's upon their inspection of that property, and they might determine that, okay, it doesn't meet a certain standard to where we're gonna help you replace or doesn't need to be replaced. I just think it needs to be clear, otherwise it kinda gives the idea that you put your name in and you're gonna get it.
So flip bullets 2 and 3, or 3 and 4 is what you're saying, more or less.
And then my other question, or to clarify, so if the property owner chooses to complete the work themselves, like, are you gonna, like, they just pour their own cement, or what does that
So
language
it'd still have
mean?
to be within the sidewalks, like, we have a sidewalk specification, so
Okay, so
they would
that-
still have to do it, but,
No,
hiring
I
someone,
get that,
yeah.
but it's like, where are they just gonna mix up
No.
cement, throw it on there and say, hey, I want reimbursement?
Yeah.
So there is
They're specific on
specifications
how
on-
thick and wide the sidewalk needs to be, yes.
If they're gonna do it themselves, here's what you have to do.
Right.
Okay, just wanna make sure that's
Yep.
clear too, cause when I'm reading, like, oh, okay.
Yes.
I think it's great. I think
Yeah.
it's always been the spot where when we're doing projects or the street project or whatever, the sidewalk becomes an issue, and can be a significant cost to the homeowner. So us to aid and help that, I totally agree with it. There's probably a little different language in there about how the approval process is done.
Well, I think we can all agree that we've struggled with sidewalks. It's always been sort of a challenge for us to how do we get our sidewalks in good repair. So I really thank our city manager for taking this and running with it, because it's a good start, and I think we can just nothing but expand on it as we go forward. So thank you, Becca, for doing that.
Well, we can fix the language and bring it back to the next meeting.
That would be great.
Perfect.
All right. Good work.
Yes.
City manager's newsletter, I guess.
Okay, so, start with the board meetings. So the park board met on the 12th. You read most of what their minutes are. There was discussion on if there was a conflict of interest for a member to be appointed, who was going out knocking on doors against a project that was approved by the park board. There was some misinformation that I felt should be expunged from the East Side Park project. Even though they're not doing it, I will share those. There was talk about how huge the fence would be, and that it would be about a 4-foot high fence. That the donated benches in the park would be removed, which they were not. The memorial would be removed, it would not. The monument rock would be removed, it would not. And the project, the project would be funded through donations. And that if they wanted more information about the project to come, because we meet at the park board meeting afterwards, we had a meeting, but that is no longer needed. So I want to thank the Next Gen group. I feel very bad that the people who were on there were kind of flung through the mud personally because of where it was located. The airport board met on the 12th. They discussed the fly-in, so we are going to move forward with the fly-in scheduled for June 7th. So that's the first Saturday in June. We are going to bring back a request to the tourism board at their next meeting for some dollars to move forward with it. We did get about half of the donations necessary. Our group that's getting donations is still going out there to do them. But at our tourism conference, they did say, we spoke to a couple of members of Explore Minnesota, and they did say this is a viable thing we could use the funds for, so we're going to go request those again. The tree board met on the 18th, so they discussed a lot of different things going on there, but they discussed the tree planting and tree giveaway. So the tree planting will be on May 21st from 4 to 6 out at Pomme de Terre with a rain date of May 27th. Our tree giveaway, we are giving away 100 trees. That will be on May 16th and 17th at the city garage. So on May 16th, it'll be from 1 to 5, and then on May 17th, will be from 8 to noon. So those are some fun big dates coming up.
And that's a first come, first serve
It is.
on the tree giveaway.
Yeah. And it sounded like they had a lot of interest at the expo. There was a lot of discussion on EAB and the downtown tree plan draft, so I just sent that out to Kim and Brian about kind of looking that over. They talked about being at this spring expo. It was only that one day on Friday because of the snow, but they had quite a turnout. And then the report for council. The high school, I got in touch with the high school, so we are looking at meeting on the 22nd at 8:25 at the high school auditorium. I did talk to, before I talked about the college, so I did talk to Troy. He'll be bringing a few students who are over in Germany in January, and then the new German intern. So he's very excited about that because that's Earth Day, so bringing those kids over to talk about it at the school. He's very excited about. Last year, the intern that was there worked on heat pumps, and this year's intern will also be working, looking at more of how heat pumps work in Minnesota. I did connect with Brian at the college, and he's going to try and help me set something up out there. So as of now, we don't have any dates. He was going to connect with some of the professors out there. I did bring my only one of those, but you guys can have it because it's online. So we do have a couple conferences if you would like to go. I can sign you up or get you more information. So the League of Minnesota Cities has their annual conference June 25th through the 27th. I believe it's up in Duluth. And then the Coalition of Greater Minnesota Cities has their summer conference July 23rd through the 25th. So if any of you decide you want to go to that, just let me know and we can sign you up. The Charter Commission met on the 20th, so they'll meet again April 2nd. We got the agenda printed today. We'll post everything and send it out tomorrow. They are hoping someone who was there before or around 1982 can meet and talk about the different amendments to the charter. I will not be attending. I will facilitate sending out their agenda and posting their meeting. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. We met with Fresha to work on the agreement for the water line. We're meeting again April 1st to bring back comments on the agreement that, a proposed agreement that was sent, brought up from our city engineer. So working on that and getting more information finalized with that project. And then just to talk about our next council meeting on April 8th. So April 8th, the school is having an election. So we cannot conduct business from 6 to 8 p.m. So we can have some conversations on, we do have our Board of Review on Monday. So we could have a council meeting after the Board of Review on Monday. Or we could have it on Tuesday, but no, you have to adjourn prior to 6 o'clock. So we're all here Monday, I guess. If you're willing, if we could just go from after the Board of Review is closed to go into council.
What's that date again? April
8th and 7th, yeah.
7th
So
and 8th, okay.
the Monday and the Tuesday.
Monday and 7th, okay. Oh, we could meet after you're saying on the 7th, that's Monday?
We're already gonna be here for the Board of Review?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't seem to have a problem with it.
Works.
Works for me.
Just we need to post, make sure to let
Yep.
anyone know that potentially wants to participate in our council meeting that it'll be, and the reason would be because of the election.
Yep.
Okay.
All right.
And the Board of Review is at 5:15 or normal time, or is that when it starts?
I think so, 5:15.
Okay.
Would you like a motion to set that date, or I'll just ask the council for a motion to set that date then for the meeting, if that's what everybody
I will
wants?
make the motion to move our April 8th council meeting at 5:15 to April 7th, following the Board of Appeals meeting.
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, we have a motion and a second to move our April 7th meeting to Monday, following our Board of Review. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carried. All right. Anything else off the city manager's newsletter? Back just to the Charter Commission, the only two members I know that are still with us that were on there previously was Tony Gosman and Ann Eidsvold. I know the commission asked for if there'd be anybody that'd be willing, and I suppose we could reach out to either one of them and see if they would be willing to meet, I guess. I have Ann's contact information, but I don't really have Tony's. I could reach out to either one of them if you wouldn't mind.
You sure can.
Okay. All right. All right, we will move on to board, the mayor and city council board updates. I'll just bring it back to the council if anybody has anything from their boards they'd care to report.
I would just reiterate that the RFC has 24/7 access now. So I thought maybe this meeting might be pretty popular, so I can get it out there. 24/7 access for the RFC if people don't know.
All right, will there be any other reports regarding boards? Hearing none, is there any other business to come before the council?
I just have something say that I just need to say, because we sit here and we listen to everything, all of this stuff with the playground and the park, and we listen and we hear people chastise us and we don't say anything. And I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say something. So when I heard that the Next Gen was pulling out, I was extremely disappointed for a number of reasons, but basically, it's just sad. It's sad when folks don't want playground equipment in a centrally located community park. It's sad when a group of young people who moved back here were so excited about this, created with their families, they want to stay here, they want to contribute to our city in a way that was not going to cost the taxpayers any dollars. And then everybody, it was accessible, and and everybody intergenerational could have used that playground. And I think it's sad when businesses and community members were chastised for wanting this playground to be part of our community, and people went to businesses, we were condemned on social media, and I think that's just sad as a community. And I think it's really disheartening that still a handful of people do not want to see any kind of improvements in Morris. That's all I gotta say.
Maybe I would ask too that along with that, there was it stating that the petition for the ordinance, obviously it sounds like it's still going forward.
It has to.
With regards to the 3 options that were mentioned, yes, no, or let's talk. Now, is that ordinance been publicly posted?
We didn't post it.
It hasn't, so the people of the public have not read this ordinance that they were signing a petition to potentially go forward with?
I wasn't there when they got signatures, so I don't
I
know.
actually thought that had to be included on the petition, the statement of the ordinance that they were proposing to change.
Yes,
Is that correct?
it was on there.
Oh, it's okay.
I didn't know if you were looking for that information, but the people who were collecting signatures had the ordinance. And you would read it and sign. It wasn't like, they were just like, we want to do this thing and will you sign? There was information about the ordinance.
Have you read the ordinance?
Mhm.
You have? I guess I personally haven't. I don't know if maybe we sent it to us, but I didn't read it. But there was something mentioned about 5 persons listed on the ordinance. What was the roles of these people with respect to the ordinance?
So the ordinance as written would allow any 5 citizens to basically bring a court action should they think that the ordinance is being violated. It doesn't give them any sort of veto right or anything about like that. It's just if they believe the ordinance is being violated, they can then bring it to court. So it just gives them standing in court.
So these 5, if they think anything's not
5.
kosher,
Any 5.
Any 5.
They could bring it and then ask a judge to decide if the ordinance is being followed, and if it's not, to issue an injunction.
So the 5 people initiated the petition process.
But
And it's any ordinance?
It's
or a
any
specific
any
ordinance?
5 electors would be able to.
Or you
Yeah,
make
but
sure-
I mean, the
this
ordinance itself, or any type of ordinance? Or
Just the one
ordinance
respective-
Just
specific
this
to the-
one. Just this one in
To
particular.
the park, to add anything into the park. That's
If
basically
to add anything, if they think that the ordinance is being violated. So the ordinance requires that if there is anything that makes it so that there's less than 95% of the current green space, that can't be added. So if they think that has happened, then
So
according
there's-
to the ordinance, they could bring it to court and say, stop doing what
So
you're doing.
there's certain measures within the ordinance that state certain ways that the park has to remain or do a certain way. And so they want to okay, I understand.
Thanks for the clarification, Tegan.
Is that now something that we're obviously going to have to discuss going forward? Okay. Is it, would you be able to email me a copy of the ordinance? I'd actually
Yep.
kind of like to read it, so maybe I already have one, but
Yeah, I guess think
apologize
good
for
for all
not.
of us
I
to take a look
will,
at
I
it.
will send it, yeah.
All right, I guess the only other business I'm thinking about is spring will eventually get here. When do we have to switch sump pumps over? For those that still do that?
I believe it's April 1st.
That's what I
Weather
would
permitting.
assume, but I'd have to double check.
If it's
I
still
would assume
cold and
April 1st.
freezing,
I think a notice usually goes in the paper too, so,
Mhm.
yeah.
All right. Any other business to come before the council?
Other than, I just also like to reiterate that the next gen, thank you for your time and your effort. I'd like to actually thank your employers for giving you the time and supporting you in your efforts to do a project like this. A very good learning lesson. It's life. You know, you're learning a lot of things that are going on here, and you did a project, and it, you know, obviously it didn't end up the way that you wanted it to, but I do think that those sort of projects and the people that are behind you, that it's really good ideas, and it's good for our community. So thanks again. I really did appreciate that.
You hold your heads up. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You did a great job. I did all those comments. All right, anything else to come before the council? Hearing none, meeting adjourned.